Hello, everybody. My name is Barry B, a Bearcat stranded in space. And on today's episode of Lost in Transmission, we continue our coverage on the Summer Game Fest 2023 with the Xbox Showcase and the Starfield Direct. Right now, it is the post-show reactions and what we thought about it, and reflecting on what we liked, what we didn't like, that kind of stuff. Joining me today is another VTuber. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, hello. My name is Timo Wimujin. Timo for short. I am a slime detective VTuber, but today we are talking about a lot of great games that we found in the showcase, and I'm excited to see some of them develop over this time, and I can't wait to play some of them.
All right. First off, let's talk about how the show started. It went with the trailer right away.
I know, yeah, a couple trailers, it was three of them. I don't remember what games that were on top of my head, but
The first trailer
it,
was Fable. Was Fable, and the way it's
Fable, yes.
the reintroduction of Fable was something I wasn't expecting, and that was an utter surprise. But when we saw some of those little comedic elements, like somebody like run around stealing shit or just other goofball shit, I was like, no, the art aesthetic, everything here reminds me of Fable.
I was thrown off a little bit. I haven't played that much Halo, but I've seen videos on it, and I was thrown off entirely due to the transition into the new game. But I am excited to see how it develops coming up into the game actually releasing. I wish there was a little bit of gameplay or a little bit more to give to the people expecting this game to come out.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'll probably have to look later, whether or not it's still being headed by anybody from Lionhead. Because as far as I know, that studio got defunct, and
Mhm.
Peter Molyneux left, right, to do
Mhm.
his own company after that.
I hope someone that worked with the previous company did move over to this current studio that's working on the game. Keep
Yeah,
the same aspects, keep the same flow.
but definitely improve on whatever the other games were lacking. I haven't played a Fable game, which
Mhm.
it's kind of funny because I do like a lot of fantasy role playing games, but I don't know. For a long time, especially growing up, Fable didn't call to me for some reason.
Mhm.
I definitely recently have been craving to try out some of the games, but the hard part of trying to find which one. I do know that after, not even a Fable 3, like almost all the Fable games had a very interesting development behind the scenes, especially
I
with,
can imagine
yeah,
so.
especially Peter Molyneux's one of his infamous things of you can plant an acorn and then watch it grow. That never happened.
Oh
The
god.
technology at the time, they just couldn't do it.
I know. Hopefully did you add that into this game? Keep his legacy alive, you know?
Yeah, some
Plant
little
an
nod.
acorn, get a tree. Let's hope for it.
Maybe. The next one where we didn't get any, again, cool trailer,
Hmm.
but we didn't get any gameplay was what was it called? Midnight South or South? Let me check the name again.
Yes.
South of Midnight. South of Midnight was the
Yes.
name.
I love the ambiance that they set with it. I wish they did have gameplay. I am very interested in what this game could be. The animation style on it's really nice. It's not comparative to some of like how the newer games are, where it's like really high animation. You can see like
Or
dust
pick
moving, but
or pixel
yeah,
art or like a
yeah,
certain there's a certain art style among indie games now that it's like, okay, that's an indie game.
yeah.
This reminds me of a Leica animation or like Coraline a bit, if you know
Oh
those
yeah, it
movies.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
and as dark as it is in the bayou, um I wonder if it's also gonna have some lighthearted whimsical aspects, not that it always needs that, but just like
Hmm.
vary it up.
Nice touch.
Yeah, we don't know what the story will be for this. It looks like you are monster hunting of some kind,
It does.
but it looks really
Once
cool.
again, I wish it had a little bit more to give us, but from what I see now, I can't wait to see what it turns out into. But I guess we wait for now.
Yeah, the one of the other ones that also popped up was the Star Wars. We finally found out what Ubisoft's Star Wars game is gonna be, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. So it looks like an exploration type of game. Go to different planets, find new people. Um, I haven't seen any Star Wars. I don't know that much. I've played one or two of the most recent games, but I am excited to see how it turns out. But I don't know how it's gonna end up.
Which ones did you
Hopefully,
replaying?
combat. The most recent ones. God, what are their names?
Was it Star Wars. Star Wars. Was it Jedi? Was it not
Yes,
Fallen
yes, yes,
Order?
yes. Survivor and what is the other one? Not
Fa-
Survivor. That's the most recent one that's coming out. What is the other one
it's already
called?
come out. You mean Fallen Order or?
Yes, Fallen Order. I have played Fallen
Now,
Order.
now the thing with those ones, those were made by Visceral Games.
Yeah, different company, but I know it's the same, not the same title, but I hope it's in somewhat of the same aspect that those games are made. But I know it's a completely different company. But let's we can just hope, see what it turns out into. It looks fun,
Yeah,
but who knows?
actually, you know what's funny? Some looking at the CG trailer, I'm getting elements of Beyond Good and Evil vibes from it,
Yeah.
which I don't even know where Ubisoft is on that game, or if it went back to being vaporware again.
Hmm.
Um, but that's what it kind of reminds me of. My fears, though, are the usual when it comes to Ubisoft games. This will most likely be an open world game, and I think they did say it was going to be an open world game.
Hmm. It does look like it. Nothing's wrong with open world, but
No, but we know how Ubisoft has done open world games in the past, especially
hmm,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs, which again
yeah.
are their own kind of enjoyable, but not in the way that I would guess Ubisoft would have marketed it, or at least
Hmm.
was thinking people would experience them as.
Yeah.
Because they tend to be goofy, glitchy messes, or just like they're immersive. For me, I haven't played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I heard it's really good, but if anything, it's just a Viking game with an Assassin's Creed skin. If anything,
Exactly. That's
um,
what it honestly is. I've played a little bit of it, but personally, I don't like the combat. It seems a little clippish. It struggles a tiny bit. It could be a little bit better, but it's just my perspective. I'm not used to that type of game.
yeah, and we honestly don't know what the combat will be because we just got a CG trailer for that Star Wars game.
Yeah.
We also don't know if we're gonna get those trademark Ubisoft towers to unlock new areas.
I'm sure you can
And
expect it.
yeah, probably. And also the usual, like I said before, those when we were live reacting, those laundry list of Facebook notifications of missions that you always get in every Ubisoft game.
I know. Hopefully, it's a little bit less cluttered. You can just pick them up as you go rather than just popping up on a whole list and you just tack them on.
Yeah, I think
But
the worst of that I saw was Ghost Recon Wildlands, especially when it
oh
came to like
god,
the
yes.
quote unquote crime system or whatever. Or basically,
Hmm.
bad guys get alerted to you, and apparently they spawn out of you. That's why they're just right there.
Hmm.
Or something like that. My dad played that, and it's like, God, this does not look like fun. The fun definitely comes from making your own mischief, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
There's that
honestly,
fight between open world immersiveness and freedom to do what you
struggles a
want,
little bit.
and it's just like And so that honestly is my fear with any of the Ubisoft open world games. Granted,
Yeah.
slow improvements, but we'll see.
I hope it turns out better than what I feel like it's gonna turn out.
Well, I mean, they
I don't have the
better.
highest expectations. Yeah.
I mean, they better because unless they want to lose the Star Wars license like EA did.
Hmm.
Um,
Let's hope so.
Another game that we really were hyped for and we're expecting, but really want to
Mhm.
try out is the 33 person co-op
Oh my
33
gosh,
Immortals.
yes. It
Um,
looks fantastic. I
yeah,
love the style.
the trailer for it.
Imagine, yeah.
The trailer for it just popped up behind us earlier, but
Mhm.
yeah, that one. What did you think of that?
It looks super fun. The animation style looks cute, but the main thing that I'm excited about, 33 cap people that you can just put into a game. It sounds like it's going to just be havoc and just pure chaos. All these little gremlins you're going to have while playing. Sounds absolutely amazing. The combat looks fun. Reminds me of Hades a little bit. Hades is also a really fun game, but it takes that aspect, put it into a giant open like dungeon type
Yeah.
cave crawler. Looks really fun. I'm excited for
Now
it.
I'm
I
wondering.
cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can like what's it called? Upgrade your character's movesets or stuff like that, or if it really is just a simple hack and slash.
I'm sure you could. I wish they went a little bit more in depth, but I'm sure they're still working on it a little bit. But
Yeah.
hack and slash is still fun, but it's just the
Oh
sheer
yeah.
number.
Yeah. I mean, the gameplay overall that we saw from the trailer looked fun enough, and I don't expect it to go any more in depth than that. But
Hmm.
if it does, that's always an A plus. That's always an added A plus. Whenever
Absolutely.
games add certain features, so you go, oh, I didn't. You could do this. Oh, that makes it even better, especially when you have that many people playing.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel
Now,
like if it did go more in depth, you would just end up with them basically just giving you the whole game without actually
yeah.
playing it.
Now it looks fucking hard
It
though,
does.
especially the more people that you get, and I'm assuming the scaling will get harder. Definitely once you
Yeah.
hit that 33-person limit. The how many people will get to that 33-person limit, I don't know. The other thing I just thought of right now was, is that going to have matchmaking in terms of like if you want to play with other people online, right?
Yeah, I feel like you could just play either by yourself, have your own friends join, but I feel like there will be matchmaking. I would sure hope so at least. I feel like that's what's going to push it to the top. If you could just play with random people, make a whole match of 30 or 10, 20, however you feel like is what you want to play.
Mm-hmm. Another game that we saw that we liked was Payday 3. It's more Payday. Just
It,
just more
it is.
Payday.
It is.
and
It's
definitely
always fun.
go ahead.
Oh, no, no, that's all. It's always fun. It just always looks like an absolute havoc of a time. I would love to play it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Now, one of the big surprises, even though I saw the leaked trailer,
Hmm.
is the remake for Persona 3.
Oh, yes.
It looks
I haven't
great.
played any of them personally, but it looks really cute and fun.
I played the original Persona 3 FES, which is the complete story. I've not completed it because, it's a
Takes a
PS2.
while.
Yeah, it's a PS2 RPG. I
Hmm.
am very happy to see that they're giving it some love and treatment to bring it to consoles, because especially after the really bad port of what do you call it? Persona 3 portable, which I
Hmm.
wondered what they were going to be doing with that, because it was originally a PSP game, if nobody remembers, and played more like a visual novel, and then did have 3D combat when you're in dungeons.
Hmm.
I'm glad they're
Yeah.
giving it the Persona 5 treatment,
Yeah.
and we are definitely seeing way bigger improvements. Now, one that got us confused in guessing if it was an Assassin's Creed game right off the bat until we saw the
Mhm.
publisher, no, the publisher, the studio Obsidian, is Avowed.
Looks fantastic. I'm excited to see how it plays out. It looks really good. I like the combat. I like the whole aspect of like fantasy type. I just can't wait for it to come out. It
Now,
looks a lot of fun.
now it looks like it's a lot more dense than a Bethesda game. I'll say that much.
Absolutely.
And I really hope that they transfer a lot of the stuff that make things easy playing a Bethesda game into
Mhm.
an Obsidian world. And from playing Outer Worlds and of course Fallout New Vegas, you know how the world building and how they create and their stories and stuff like that. You really get invested into playing.
Mhm.
My only reservations for this is that, like other Obsidian games, especially recently when I played Outer Worlds, is that they just end. Once you finish the story, they just end.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ah.
The only game that they've had where there was an end, kind of some end game content, was Pillars of Eternity,
Mhm.
which is closer to like the game Baldur's Gate, or like traditional Baldur's Gate and things like that. Speaking of Pillars of Eternity, that is the world that this is set in, which
Oh.
is their own fantasy world, which is
Mhm.
really rich and very interesting, and I'm happy to be I'm very excited to be exploring it through this way.
Mhm.
I do not know where in the timeline it's set or what continent it's set in the Pillars of Eternity world. But definitely, I recommend the world Pillars of Eternity games, because those are very traditional CRPGs. Um,
Absolutely. I cannot wait for Avowed to come out.
because I really just want to run around with guns. Because I last time I
Yeah,
played
the
that game,
guns.
last time I played that game where I made a character, I made a druid with a flintlock, and
Oh God.
I'm like, I'm here for nature.
Oh, we will
um,
feel the spirits today.
and I saw some spears in their game, so I'm excited. Why am
Lots
I?
of spirits, yes.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's gonna ask me why do I have an obsession with spears in fantasy games? It's because Bethesda had
Cool
them in
shit.
like Morrowind, and never brought it back because they didn't want to animate it.
Ah,
But also, I mean, granted, spears are very situational, but things it just adds to the variety of combat.
exactly. who doesn't like a little bit of long range? You have some more room to breathe. I think it is a great aspect to have spears.
Now I could be wrong when I looked at that footage, but I really hope there are
Mhm.
spears.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, but definitely they
I love.
included guns. There are definitely
Yeah, guns are in
guns.
there. There is guns.
And that's another thing with fantasy. I wonder why that doesn't happen too often, especially for RPGs. Until I mean, there have been in the past, but like for most mainline RPGs, you rarely see guns in there.
Hopefully, sometime soon we'll see a lot more guns in these fantasy type games. I'm
Especially
sure
for
they're around. I guess it depends on the era.
I mean, also because like well, it's fantasy, and the thing is they're inspired by
Yeah.
different parts of history, right? So it's like why
Yeah.
not? And I think I was watching like I think it was a GameSpot um video thing about an armor expert talking about knights and stuff like that. No,
Mhm.
knights were one of the earliest people to try to use guns, riding on
Oh, I
horseback.
see.
Not only with because most people think of it like siege weapons, whatever, but
Mhm.
later, I mean, during that same development, they were experimenting with them running around with guns on horseback. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, little real world things like that.
Mhm.
But I'm excited. Can't wait.
I am too.
Something that is definitely gonna melt our computer is is
Dude,
is is flight simulator.
God, it looks fun. There's so many different new mission types that you can take on. A bunch of airships or air balloons, I guess. Do they
Hot
count
air
as
balloons,
airships?
hot air balloons,
Yeah.
airships, blimps.
So many different things. It looks fun. I feel like my computer will be melted to the ground, trying to being just suffocated for air. Looks really fun. I love all the ships that were shown in the trailer. Helicopters even. I
Dude,
cannot wait.
it's funny though that they're adding a whole bunch of like all I can think of is that which Disney movie was it, Planes or whatever.
Yeah.
It was called Rescue and Fire. Now you can do Rescue and Fire.
That would be really fun. I think that's one of the more ones that I'm excited about. Going around trying to pilot this ship, drop water and all these chemicals to stop a forest fire. That is the one I look forward to the most.
Mm.
A lot of precision and air control to just keep the ship above where you need to be dropping things. A lot of like learning how to maneuver an airship. I think that's what I'm excited for about this game.
Yeah, and it's always good to have variety of missions. I mean, aside the usual just free roaming. Um,
Absolutely.
oh god, the other one that we also were just like, what is going on here? Is Like a Dragon Infinite? Was it Infinite Wealth? Was it?
Yeah, Infinite Wealth.
We
Set in the U.S. It looks like. I don't know where. Maybe Hawaii, California. There's a beach. I'll tell you that much. But
I
it
don't
looks
know.
like a trip.
We saw the main character's ass cheeks right up. It's like what the heck?
Out.
Oh my god. Our favorite himbo is back.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that I can't remember his name.
I'm pretty sure it's Kazuma.
Is it Kazuma? But I feel like that's a different character. I'm gonna look this up right now.
Oh, let's go for it. I have a feeling that's what it is, but I could be entirely wrong. I haven't played any, but I've seen a lot of videos on it. It looks like a really fun game.
It's bonkers. Oh, Ichiban.
It's always
Ichiban. It's
oh
Ichiban.
Ichiban.
Ka-
Oh.
okay, Kazuma Kiryu is the other guy we're thinking of.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
But we're talking about Ichiban. Our
Yeah. Favorite himbo.
Yeah, favorite. Kasuga Ichiban. Yeah.
Ah.
Dude, our favorite delusional himbo is back. Doing what?
Hell
I
yeah.
don't know. I
I'll
don't.
find out soon.
Yeah, dude. Like, I can only assume he's like doing some illicit money thing. I don't know the ending to the last game, and I haven't played it, but I really need to. Jesus Christ, they really like detailed him.
I know there's a lot of details in that ass cheek that they showed us.
Man, I love the Yakuza series.
I do too. It's always a fun time.
It's just like I'd rather play the new ones though, rather than like go back to some of the old ones. Even though those are classics, it's just like, oh my god,
The
this
karaoke scenes. Oh.
yeah, dude. A lot of those are like, it's got, I don't know, it's like watching a daytime drama. Honestly,
I know. Yeah, you're playing it though.
actually, speaking of Kiryu, I think what was her name, Kason? Was it?
Kason.
She is going to be in. I remember she won the contest to be in the next Yakuza game. The thing is, I don't know which
Really?
one. I don't know if it's gonna be the one that was already announced. That was like a dragon, the man who erased his name, which has Kiryu,
Oh.
which has Kiryu in it, or if
Yeah.
it's gonna be the one we just saw, Infinite Wealth.
no idea, but Kayson's one of my favorite VTubers. That is my wife.
Yeah, she's gonna be in there as one of the her IRL version. I think is gonna be the one of the soapland type peoples. I think maybe
Oh,
I could be
yeah.
wrong. I could be wrong.
I'm gonna have to play the game.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and then this one,
mhm.
and the trailer behind us is Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Goddess.
Ah,
Our
this one.
reaction, yeah, our reactions to that was just like, what is this? What is this? Is it gonna be like Dynasty Warriors? What's going
I
on?
know,
Super
yeah.
colorful. Nah,
Looks a little trippy.
dude, it is a trippy looking action game, and I'm all for it.
I know, it looks fantastic. I love the idea of going around purging what looks like to be aliens or some form of virus. I like the idea.
Uh,
It looks like the combat's really fun. I can't wait to play that one.
Honestly, I don't even know if it's gonna be like a twist like that. I just think these are just Shinto spirits or usual
I
stuff
think
in like
so.
Japanese what do you call it, mythology. Because if you look at some of the descriptions of those creatures, whether it's
Mhm.
yokai or other demons, I forgot the other names for Japanese
Some
demons.
form of sins, yeah. Yokai, I think, would probably be a good term to put into it.
Yokai are usually spirits of like objects.
I guess
Um,
so, yeah. They're very deformed. I don't know what they're called, but
yeah,
mm, we'll find out soon enough.
I'm trying to remember. Ayakashi, I think, was the other word for these things for some
Mm,
type of spirit or demon. My
yeah.
brain accidentally was about to say the Akatsuki, but that's a totally different thing.
Oh God, Naruto, please.
No, but it looks trippy. I don't know if it's by the team who did. No, it's not done by the team that did Devil May Cry, but it looks just
It looks really nice.
visually bonkers. Actually, when we were
Mhm.
reacting to it, I had to turn up the the
I know
fidelity
you have
because
so many pixels going on.
pixels. Look at my pixels, bro.
Pixels, my bad.
That's good. Hey man, let me
There's
take
so
my
many
shirt.
bugs.
Let me take off my shirt and show you my
Yeah.
pixels.
Oh,
Let me
you all right?
flex.
Yeah. Uh,
But
great time.
my God, it just looks straight up fantastic.
It really does.
Now for you gearheads out there drooling and who don't play Gran Turismo, Forza Motorsport is back, and it looks like their mascot car is the Corvette this time.
They also had a Cadillac F1 car.
Oh yeah,
Uh, there is a lot of stuff going on. I like all the amount of like fine tuning you can do on these vehicles. I do like the track version, but I personally like these open world Forza games as well.
more than
But
likely either next year or maybe the year after they'll probably announce something having to do with the next Horizon game because usually I feel like they trade
Horizon
off.
6.
Yeah, because I feel like they trade off. They gotta because they already announced they already had released a Horizon game. I think last year was it?
Yeah, which was I think a year, 2 years, 2 years, something like
Was it?
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
They
pretty
just
sure it was
blend together.
2022.
They just
Yeah,
blend
these years
together.
don't they all feel the same.
But yeah, that looks cool.
It
Now,
does.
one that we just had a hot take on, more like just like fun poking fun at, was Blizzard's Overwatch content update.
God, what a trip. I don't remember if it was pushed back or canceled, but it looks atrocious. I don't know. I
I
can't stay in Overwatch anymore.
I thought. I mean, I don't play Overwatch. You do.
Yeah.
What can you
Yeah.
tell me about it?
Oh god, it all blends together. It is a fucking sweaty game. Even if you play casual or ranked, it is very sweaty no matter where you go. If you want any lore on these characters or units that are in this game, you go to YouTube, you just find lore. I like the lore on these characters, but that's where it stops. The game itself is a little sweaty in my opinion.
I mean,
If you're getting into it, it's hard.
between this and Valorant, I'm like seeing a lot of toxic shit.
I know. Well, that's all these like FPS games or like team-based games. It's very sweaty,
Yeah,
if it's coming from the opposite team or your own team.
I don't
But
know which is worse.
I don't know. One is emotional damage. The other one's a little bit more like
Mm.
digestible, and that's
Now,
usually from the enemy team.
what they announced here was some new game modes, which I don't know how they go. Whatever Hero
Yeah.
Mastery is, which looks more like a dodge course or whatever, or obstacle course.
Yeah.
Co-op events, and apparently some story missions,
Yes.
which may or may not be the thing that we were talking about earlier that got canned, which was like this whole dedicated story
PVE.
expansion
Yeah.
and PV thing.
Yeah. I think that's what everyone was looking forward to, doing PVE, but they canned that whole idea not so long ago. and that's what pushed back a lot of players because some people don't want to get into like the nitty gritty of getting sweat on every moment.
Maybe,
PvE was a great idea, but I guess
maybe,
they didn't
maybe,
feel like they need to be there.
maybe delaying
Sorry.
it to August. No, it's okay. Maybe delaying it to August 10th is their way to go. Like, no, 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 no. We're still working on it. We're still working on it. Forget what we said. I don't know.
I guess so, yeah.
I don't
I
know.
sure hope so. The event looks fun, but it's just at this very moment I have uninstalled it, and I unless it comes, I don't think I'll be playing
I mean, I
Overwatch any
think the only
longer.
thing that's gonna come is never mind. Anyways, I just like the character designs.
Yeah, the
Anyways,
character designs are nice. Their assets are great.
I know they tried to nerf some things, but I'm sorry, you can't stop the internet.
Yeah, the internet always wins.
Yeah. Um. God, I was more surprised that there was so much. Well, not a lot of Japanese studio stuff, but
Hmm.
from I mean, in terms of like not a like there wasn't like a large variety of it like one year,
Yeah.
but boy, Atlas was just throwing
Oh, I
content
know.
out for the Xbox, and probably is
They've
going
been
to be
on
on some other
fire this
platforms
year.
too. But like, my God, this is the year of Atlas for Xbox, and
Atlas
I
is gonna be raking in money.
because I definitely know a lot of Xbox fans were hoping for a lot more access, for a lot more Atlas stuff to be coming to the system,
Hmm.
which is kind of interesting. So it makes me wonder if there's going to be an exclusivity timeline, or if these are permanently exclusive to the Xbox, um, especially for you PlayStation users.
Oh, I know. Personally, I was a PS user. Now I'm fully PC master race. I hope these games do come to PC and not just. Oh, I'm sure it will eventually,
They
inevitably.
they do, but they're so far what they're advertising is Windows, but usually
Hmm.
usually they do end up putting it on Steam, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to
Only a few
see
games.
all these Atlas games.
Yeah, only a
Yeah.
few games have like put on like from Windows Gaming.
Yeah.
And the
That'd be
thing
so
is,
funny.
Windows Gaming still is like got that weird ass curse on it of just
Yeah.
stuff not working.
It is
God,
what it is.
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Now we got more indie adventure games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, actually, in general, I know you weren't with me on the other presentations, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Even though there might not be a lot of indie games that people want to watch or play,
Yeah.
there is still a very large offering coming every year, and and overall I'm just happy that that variety
I am too.
exists. Whether or not I actually play them, we'll see, but just a lot of them. Actually, one indie game that wasn't part of this one, but
Mm-hmm.
was already announced was called Stray Gods, which was like a narrative
Oh.
based game.
Yeah.
The unique aspect about that one was what was it? It's a musical.
Oh.
So your dialogue in throughout most of the game is basically your decisions being sung out.
Oh.
So your
That sounds
dialogue
interesting.
choices end up being like some Broadway show,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all
I
the
like.
like, yeah.
No, you continue. You continue.
What was it called? It's just like a bunch of like famous voice actors in there too, doing Broadway
Oh.
essentially.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I'll send you a video of it later. But the one we're currently looking at, which is, I feel like these are like echoing Eco and a lot of those older PS2 adventure
Mm-hmm.
platformers.
Yeah.
Um, or like not what's the Shadow of the Colossus, but it's the same studio.
Yeah.
Not for this game, but like the one I'm referring to. Um, we I feel like we're getting a resurgence of that via the indie industry of like these explorative just platforming games.
Yeah.
I have no way to pronounce this name. Both of us were trying to figure out what it probably says.
Yeah.
Jusant. I'm just gonna say it like a French.
Descent.
Jusant.
Justin. Descent. Yeah. It looks fun. It looks like it's driven off of story and exploration. It does have platforming. It looks like a very good like vibe type of game, you know?
Not to
I
mention
love
the
these
little,
indie games.
yeah. Not to
Yeah.
mention the little butt chicken.
The butt chicken. It's so adorable. This little lava little dude. But yeah,
Jeez.
it looks like it's just a vibe. I don't care if it doesn't even have any narration. It's just the essence and like the ambiance given off of this game. I hope the soundtrack is as amazing as what I imagine the world is going to be like and just exploring this beautiful land that they put out.
Especially since we've been spoiled by other games like Abzu and Journey and those
I
kinds
know.
of.
They just put out a game actually, the same
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
company. Oh my god, it looks so good.
You're like
Sadly,
you're
yeah.
rollerblading on your sword.
Yeah, it's only a PS exclusive. It looks like
Yeah,
such a good game. I cannot wait for that.
the horror game that just played behind us and not finished was it Stillwater Deep or whatever it was called?
Oh, Still Wakes the Deep.
Still Wakes the Deep. I'm assuming it's some Cthulhu thing on an oil rig. It looks
Yes.
creepy.
If you weren't scared of oil rigs already and the idea of being just in the middle of nowhere in thousands deep of water, this will get that fear rolling through you, just exploring through a whole oil rig that's already like burning down, abandoned. It
Basically,
looks
it
scary.
doesn't look like it's gonna be abandoned. I don't know what the story would be. It might be just like people working on there, and then something happens, and then
Hmm.
people trying to get off of it, but now you're kind of trapped. Basically, I
Hmm.
assume something like Deepwater Horizon, the actual event, mixed with some Cthulian thing coming on board.
Yeah,
Um,
it looks fun and scary.
Now speaking of fun and color, because I'm happy that there's way more colorful games. We got another
Yeah.
action puzzle platformer, but
Hmm.
it doesn't look like it's focusing too much on puzzles. Is Dungeons of Hinterberg?
Oh yes, I like the different aspects of like it. Oh, let me
You know what? It
pull up.
reminds me more of like a little bit more Bastion in terms of combat.
Hmm.
Um, Again, I just mostly like the color.
The color is really nice. I like the journey it's trying to take you through because it looks open world. There's enemies. You go around, you climb mountains. I do like it.
But it's not like,
It's really cute.
but definitely it's not a sandbox. It's more just like we
Yeah.
call it. What's it
Mhm.
called? Wide open corridor areas to explore.
Yeah, the animation is really nice. It's kind of like a sketch type of animation. You can see all the hard lines that you need to see, but
Yeah.
I really like the art style. It
Now,
looks like a fun one.
how are you feeling about our Phantom Liberties?
Ah,
How
I
about our cyberpunking?
I am personally a fan of Cyberpunk. I oh, I love Cyberpunk so much, and I'm glad that it is getting an expansion or a DLC, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad we can see Keanu Reeves coming back again.
Coronado Neves.
I love his voice lines in this game. Just the idea of him telling me to off myself every couple minutes is what drives me to play this game more and more.
No, hold on. I don't think we gotta get that sticky.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm
Anyways, yeah.
kidding. It's
It
okay.
looks like we're going into a whole new city, a whole new map, a lot of new guns, and a bunch of new characters we didn't see before. And I think that's great. I think I'm gonna have another run of Cyberpunk. I already have almost 100 hours on one run. I want to see every ending, and I'm excited to see what is it that
Yeah,
Project Red is adding to this.
yeah. I'm wondering how much of this story is going to alter, what's it called? Alter the ending, if at all.
Oh,
Um,
there's a lot of endings.
yeah. There's a lot of endings, but because it seems like, V, this their motivation to be doing this job to go to the city was
Hmm.
apparently a character named Songbird might be able to provide them a cure. So I'm assuming you can't play this in any of the endings that you died, quote unquote, maybe died,
Yeah.
but probably like right before it. Kind of like The Witcher. Some of the
Hmm.
expansions you play those before you do the final stage,
Hmm.
or the final mission.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, if they did something else there, that's why I was wondering if like if it would create another branch for an ending because you did this quest line.
I sure hope so. Um, I really like the idea of just multiple endings. These type of games where just your decisions matter are really good games, and I think it will end up in another ending. Considering you're leaving Night City and all these other like close by stations, I think it's just gonna be an entirely different map compared to what the vibe is right now in
Because I
Cyberpunk.
mean, no knock to CG Project Red, but I remember again this is my personal experience playing The Witcher. Even
Hmm.
with those expansions in the Game of the Year edition, right? They did not integrate that content well inside of it. There are some stuff where it's like it melded with the world, but most of it was just like kind of just dumped in there. That's why for a while, certain items people couldn't get to because it was locked away
Hmm.
because of a main story quest, but yet the item was like way lower a level than the actual story quest. So
Hmm.
I'm wondering how they're going to integrate Phantom Liberty into it, and because honestly, I feel like again, I'm not trying to be hard on any developers. It is hard work to
Yeah.
do games, but it's like it doesn't break the continuity or the consistency of your world, if you're especially when you're adding new content in there, and whatever the new content is, whether it's weapons or whatever, right? Cycling into the main game, or at least
Absolutely.
regions touching whatever part that you're gonna be touching for that independent story, right?
Hmm.
Basically molding those together so that way it does feel like what you do, right, has some kind of impact in the world outside of the
What's currently happening?
or no, outside of like the DLC area, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know how many games we played where it's like the DLC area, it just everything that's happened in there, only one or two people outside the DLC area will acknowledge something that happened there.
Hmm. I hope it's integrated more seamlessly because I really want to see this game continue to flourish. It's a great game, and
Yeah, especially with its
I think it worked
resurgence.
out. Yeah, after the resurgence, after the anime came out, everyone and their moms wanted to play Cyberpunk.
Just to get
I was one of those
revenge.
people.
Just to get
Yeah, just to get
revenge.
revenge.
It's like I did it for you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
got you.
I know. I do hope they succeed in this DLC and that
Yeah.
everyone enjoys it. I hope it's a really good story and we get a bunch of new things to play around with.
Now,
Hopefully some new mods as well.
speaking of new things, more from Studio Atlas.
Oh
Another
god,
fucking
yeah.
another adventure RPG game. God, how the fuck do we pronounce this? It is Metaphor. What was the full name?
Oh, metaphor. Oh god, I didn't write the whole thing. Retizo,
Something
something like that.
fan, Fantasio or
Oh,
whatever.
Brie Fantasio,
There you go.
Italian sausage type of name.
Metaphor was spaghetti spaghetti. I'm sorry to our Italian viewers. I'm really
Oh
sorry.
god, this
But
this one I like a lot. The
dude,
art style,
it's just
just everything
brimming.
about it.
It's just brimming.
I know.
This looks
It looks like
fantastic.
your classic TRPG.
Classic
It
AJ.
looks really nice.
Yeah, Atlas definitely flexing, and honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like this is where all the Persona money was going for a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Because now that I think about it, I feel like they've actually been fairly quiet after releasing Persona 5, and then what was it Persona 5 Breakers and Persona 5 Royale? Because I feel like not much has in terms of news ever came out of like Atlas, as far as I'm aware. So
I know,
seeing this
yeah.
one, it's like, well, maybe that's why they're busy.
Yeah, they're bringing out all of their work this year, and I'm glad that they are because a lot of what they're bringing out is a lot of things I want to enjoy. Because most things on my list right now are just Atlas.
Yeah, and it's been I feel like it's been a while since I've actually been excited. Even when Games Fest was starting for this year, I still wasn't feeling excited for a lot of things being released because it's like, you know, all the things I had looked forward to like the past 2 years or so came out as disappointments. Let's say like Halo Infinite and a few
Hmm.
others. I mean, granted, we got like Dead Space remake and a few others that were like really, really good, but I haven't been able to play those. Um,
Hmm.
but it's like, man, all these blockbuster sounding games just came out as like flops. Granted, like we said, like
Yeah.
Cyberpunk had a resurgence, which is good, and that's always good to
Hmm.
see that in a game series. Especially one that people know there's a concept in it that looks really good, but it needs polishing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Towerborn. I don't know what to think of this. It looks like fun
Oh,
co-op. But
Towerborn.
I feel like this is the one that we still gotta wait and see a little bit to hear from.
Yes. So how it looks like to me originally, it looked like a side scroller, and then it goes into a completely different um top down view, and it just changes based on how you're moving. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't know how it's gonna look at its end.
I
It
think
looks like it could be polished a little bit.
I feel like it's still gonna be fully side scrolling. It's just when you leave the map for an
Hmm.
area, you end up in that Catan like map,
Hmm.
going to different
Hmm.
hexagons and then fighting the enemies there.
Hmm. It
Now,
looks interesting. I will
yeah,
definitely give it a try if I get a chance to.
yeah. I mean, I'm honestly I've been seeing a lot of couch co-op and co-op games popping up recently, and that's really really
Hmm.
good because I mean, all of us kind of missed being able to do that.
Hmm.
Hell, even with Diablo coming out, it's like it's still
Yeah.
hard to like play with people for some weird reason. It's
We're
still
all
very
playing the
hard.
same game. It's just hard to get together.
Yeah. Now this kooky brass Clockwork cyberpunk, not cyberpunk, steampunk game we're looking at.
Steampunk, yeah.
Clockwork.
It
I
looks cool.
It looks cool. That's all I can say for it. I can't wait till it comes out because they said they're just working on it till it's essentially ready.
Mhm.
Um,
They're putting in a lot of work for it.
Definitely like a Bioshock inspired type game, or at least that's how it looks like it's gonna feel.
That's what the vibes gave me when I first looked at it. I thought it was BioShock because it has that exact feeling. It reminds me of one of the games. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
The
it
close,
does look like
yeah,
it.
the closest I can think of you're thinking of is Bioshock Infinite because that one was like
Yeah.
in like what 1920 something.
Mhm.
Granted, it was American Victoria stuff,
Yeah.
not Victorian
Yeah.
1800s clockwork steampunk, but pretty close.
Mhm.
I'm happy they did show gameplay, but that's probably one of the main reasons we are thinking it feels like a Bioshock. Though it looks like the two major mechanics in this has to do with
Mhm.
time
Yeah.
manipulation.
It does. There's a lot of like literally as the name says clockwork. There it does look like there's a lot of clockwork going into this. It does seem like a time manipulation type of game. I don't know like the whole story. I wish I had a little bit more to go off of, but it looks
Yeah,
like that.
I don't mind waiting for that.
Hmm. I hope they polish it off well and it's a really good
Yeah,
game.
because I think that's the only like critique art wise. It looks like it's a little rough. Like it feels like something back from like the early Xbox One days in terms of
Hmm.
fidelity. But hey,
Yeah. It is what it is.
it is what it is. Definitely though, the star of the of the direct after that was of course Starfield.
Ah, I'm excited.
I
It
know
looks great.
it looks great. I'm still going in with some caution to it, of course.
Hmm.
Given Bethesda's track record of the years.
I
Uh,
know. I hope it's not a dumpster fucking fire when it comes out, but I
yeah,
know there's gonna have its bugs, its course, and all this. I want this to be great because it looks like a great game. Quite literally,
there is a lot
building.
in. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
mechanics in there. Whether there's shipbuilding or
Mhm.
space travel, and some of the RP elements there. It looks like it's gonna scratch a lot of weird primal itches that
Yeah.
itches
Yeah.
that I got from playing Fallout 4, but definitely more fleshed out rather than like a hodgepodge of rough ideas slapped together and dumped into a file folder. But then
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
that's also Bethesda's MO half the time. I'll put that in the folder and drop it in.
Yeah.
God,
It looks great. Everything about it just entices me. My every itch in my brain that just wanted like an exploring space game with some combat, some building. It just looks so beautiful. I hope the soundtrack matches what I saw on screen.
definitely what I'm getting vibes of is like a mix of The Expanse and Firefly.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely there are elements that do also remind me of Outer Worlds. Granted, Outer Worlds had more is because that one was an Obsidian game. That one was a little bit
Yeah,
more limited, but
yeah,
we'll see how close they are together and what in terms of writing. Um,
yeah.
Speaking of Outer Worlds, there were because they announced Avowed, right? There's like literally
Mhm.
nothing on Outer Worlds 2.
Oh God.
The only thing out there about Outer Worlds 2 is just the trailer where it's like, "Here, we're working
Here you
on it.
go.
We're working on it. It'll be out when we say it's ready, but we're working on it."
I mean, it's reassuring to know they are doing something, but it's not reassuring that we don't know when or like any time frame. But I know you
Yeah.
want something polished. I know that development takes time and takes a lot of hard work.
Now, speaking of that, I do not expect the story to be good for this game,
Oh
honestly,
God,
because the
I hope the
main,
story lives up to it.
well, I'm talking about Starfield.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope
Um,
there's some story.
I mean, I have a feeling what meant the story be because you find some alien artifact
Yeah.
and it's implied that later on in the direct that you might get some powers from that.
Mm-hmm.
I
They
don't
didn't
know,
touch on it too much,
maybe
but
like a
it.
telekinetic power or something like that.
Mhm. I guess that's to find out once you get the game. That's if you get the game.
Yeah. Um, but for me, like this is it's casual single player Star Citizen with a few extra things added to there.
Yeah.
Because I'm not fully into like the what you call it, hardcore space sims.
Mm-hmm.
Um, despite trying a few, including like Elite Dangerous, which is just like space trucker simulator.
Yeah.
Um, God, because the amount of time it takes to like do real time like travel in that game is kind of
Hmm.
rough.
It is.
But yeah, I'd say out of this entire showcase and direct,
Hmm.
I'd say a good portion of this I'm actually excited for.
A lot of these games won my heart just
Yeah,
by these small trailers, and I'm excited to see all of them come out
yeah.
slowly but surely.
The caveat now is whether or not there's going to be a delay on any of these, if any of them are
Yeah.
going to get canceled. Because as hopeful as I feel about these things,
Hmm.
anything can still happen with any of these games.
Absolutely.
Um, or at the very least, the release date gets pushed back. The worst is something just getting canned entirely. Um,
I hope not. They've already been announced. They look cool. I really hope none of them get canceled due
yeah,
to like any time constraints or like budgetary, issues.
I don't think budgetary, but more just like I don't know. I just hope they don't bungle marketing for any of these,
I hope so, yeah.
especially with some of them that they haven't announced a release date for. Because one of the biggest mistakes to do, and we saw that with Titanfall too, is
Yeah.
sandwiching what looks to be a
I
really
was
good game between like giants. Even if those
Yeah.
giants don't technically do well, those are the ones that people will recognize, right, and then go after rather than your
That's what they're
game.
seeing, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. I just want to play some of them. That's all I want. Even if they flop, I'll still enjoy them. If they have 10 fans, I'm one of them. If they have one fan, it's me. If they don't have any fans, it's because I died.
It's because
You
I
know?
died.
Yeah.
The hardcore slime, boys and girls.
Yeah,
Hardcore slime.
exactly.
Well, I think we can start wrapping it up. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? No.
Oh no.
I've said what I needed to say. A lot of these games are great. I'm happy to see some of these like more indie style games as well. And I think indie games are just fantastic. Sure, no one's asking for them, but they do scratch like a niche itch in some people. And usually those are the ones you love just because they're smaller, just randomly popped up. You know?
Hmm. I agree. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just happy with the last set of large announcements that this is the one that didn't feel like a cop out because definitely for the last several um, announcement periods, right, for the past few years,
Yeah.
this one has kind of been up and down or like I don't know
Yeah.
because they haven't announced anything. I guess the next thing on the list, technically, especially for Bethesda, would be Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and whatever the hell's going on with that. Um,
Who knows?
definitely one
I'm
thing
sure
that
they'll tell us.
yeah, definitely another thing that they did not talk about was anything having to do with Halo Infinite or story
Yeah.
stuff or whatever. I don't know if they can that because I totally abandoned that game now.
I'm sure
uh,
they probably did too. Put their resources into something else.
I mean, that's something for me to say as somebody who mostly plays single player. I have
Mhm.
abandoned the Halo Infinite single player.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Like, out of the things I would have enjoyed, right? I can understand me abandoning the multiplayer, but like for me to abandon the single player first and then the multiplayer, just because
Mhm.
the recent updates haven't been melding with my old Xbox One, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm just done.
yeah, I feel that. I don't think I would enjoy it anymore. I feel like it's just kind of dead a little bit.
I
It
hate to
is what
say
it
it, but I
is.
feel like we kind of just outgrew the franchise. The lore and everything about it's great. The
Yeah,
old games are still fun, but I think it's just time for to move on.
move
Is
into
it?
something else that's coming out.
Yeah, but
Plenty of lore in some of these other great games as well.
yeah, and definitely icebergs to explore.
I know.
Lose yourself
Yeah,
in.
keep going down. It only gets worse.
Well, that being said, I think you guys know how we feel about this one. During the next week, I don't know if I will react independently or grab people. I probably won't. I'll probably just watch those on my own time because right now is the PC Direct, and then
Oh,
Monday throughout. I think Monday and a few more. Monday is the Ubisoft Direct.
oh.
I'll just like quickly peek into that one, and I don't know after that one. I don't know what else is being offered, but I think I'd be petered out and just be looking at trailers. So I can't promise I'll make content on those, but yeah, be on the lookout. I do not know the next time I'll also make this podcast. I tend to try to just time it for mostly these announcements or these events, mostly because it's easier to talk about these things. But
Easy
um,
content, baby.
in terms of scheduling, I will try to make these not consistently, but I will at least make one out of like three,
Eventually.
out of like maybe three at the most 3 months.
Oh God.
Especially if there's a topic or a game or stuff I want to actually talk about.
Mhm.
Um, Not to mention because I'm still very behind on making more videos for you guys.
God.
Because I definitely need to record some more. I need to go through my backlog because I just got a new PC, which is why I'm able to do this stuff. And I've been transferring over my all my files for editing and things like that, and also some of the old footage. So I
Mhm.
gotta do that. I'm also messing with a new editor. Um, my old free one is no longer free; it is now subscription based. So
Oh God.
what I have left of it is on the old laptop, which I will might go back to depending on the type of videos I make. But for the most part,
Get it.
the recent podcast that I have posted, which is up already, I used Clipchamp to edit that. It's okay. It's okay. It's an okay editor. There is still some stuff where I was like, I don't know what it's asking me. Um,
God.
but yeah, I will try to also crank out a few more edited video content. I'll definitely be on the lookout for an audiobook or a few audiobooks that I might do. Um, One definitely just because I really like it, and the other one definitely being copy. As far as I know, open public domain. It's a public domain
Sounds like some
story.
fan fiction to me.
Oh hell no. I'm gonna stop there. I leave that for the visual novels because I know
Yeah.
I know I still gotta finish what's it called Nikopara Catboy Paradise.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, dude, there are 4 characters and I don't know how many endings, so I'm still going through that.
Hmm.
But
You got this. I believe in you.
yeah, definitely. But other than that, where can people find you, Mr. Timo?
I am everywhere. I would like to say that, but I'm on Twitter at Timo Wemojin. I'm on Twitch at Timo Wemojin. When do I stream? That is hard to say because it has been a while. The hiatus continues. But eventually I will be back. Do not worry. I'm glad to have been invited to do this podcast with you, and thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining. I know it was very last minute,
Absolutely.
but thank you. You can find
No
all his
problem.
links in the description below. And with that being said, I want to thank you all and thank you, my fellow space jockeys. We'll see you next time. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.